Hello, 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 and welcome to my channel, 1111 Oracle, and welcome back. If you are a returning subscriber, thank you so very much. I really appreciate all of your support. It means a lot. And thank you for sharing your positive energy with me. All right, we're going to delve into your childhood wounds and what you can do to heal them. But before we do that, I just want to, put out a little disclaimer to not rule out seeking professional and medical attention in regards to your mental health, your emotional well-being, your spiritual well-being. I offer a fun pick-a-card channel with channeled messages and all kinds of other, spiritual tips, and I am happy to offer you perspective and guidance. But of course, if you do have some serious healing that needs to take place in relation to your childhood and any kind of complex CPTSD it's CPTSD, so it's either complex or I've seen it written as childhood PTSD. If you do have that and you experience that, you do need to see someone about it, then I encourage you to do that, which can be a very practical and healing experience that you might need in order to fully move forward. But without further ado, we are going to continue on with the video, and I look forward to connecting with you in the comments below, and hopefully my messages that I bring forth of love and self-care and inner healing and reflection will bring you some peace and will resonate with you. Okay. Now, before we get into the reading, I just want to quickly mention a special promotion that is still going on. It expires today. If you're watching this video today, February 22nd, Monday, February 22nd. And so you still have time to send me a little email with a screenshot of your I can't speak apparently. Subscription to my channel. There we go. It's a Valentine's promotion that is still going on. So if you email me by today, keeping in mind that I'm in the Pacific time zone, so I just need to receive your email today, February 22nd, Pacific time. Okay, if that makes sense. And so if you do that, then I'll offer you, an hour-long reading or service for $22 USD, and the regular price is at $88 USD. So that's quite a good deal. And if you're watching this video and, it is after February 22nd, we're into the future now, I still have some promotions that are still happening, including there's a 50% promotion, so 50 if you send me a screenshot of your subscription to my channel, and it's after February 22nd. I will still give you 50, half off basically any reading or service. Okay, so instead of $88, you get the reading for $44 for the first time. And the other little thing I'm offering is this is done purely through email, and you're not sure about the one-on-one Zoom reading. You can email me your questions. So $1 a question, and you can have as many questions or as little questions as you want, down to just one question. And so just email me and to inquire about that, and I'll walk you through next steps. All right, so let's get right into the reading, and let's get right into the choices. So we have number 1, Applejack. Number 2, Rainbow Dash. Number 3, Rarity. And number 4, Pinkie Pie. All right. We're going to start with number 1 with Applejack. Okay. Now, I am going to shuffle this deck, and then I'll pull out some cards and see what Spirit has to say in relation to your childhood wounds. What are your childhood wounds? How to heal them. Okay. All right. Number 1, let's take a look and see here. You have Tamlin. This is, I believe, a Scottish fairy tale battle. Thumbelina, Expectations. And Gretel, Ingenuity. Whew. Oh boy. I feel like you had your guard up a lot of the time in childhood, like you needed to protect yourself, and possibly you needed to be the strong one amongst your siblings, and you needed to protect them. You needed to fight for them often. You needed to stand up for them, because there was a lot, because you were the oldest, there was a lot put on your shoulders. You were expected to be like, almost like the golden child, except you weren't. There was something very abusive here about your childhood in the way that you were almost, I want to say, neglected. There is almost like an aspect where you have to parent yourself and be a parent for other children, possibly siblings. They're younger than you, and maybe not even necessarily younger. It could depend. But you really took on that role of parent figure to your siblings. If you have siblings, it could be cousins, it could be, comment down below if you feel so inclined to share, what your situation might have been. And you really had to, almost like I'm hearing, fight for what was yours, your freedom, your space. Even food for some of you, like if someone was hogging the food, an adult, and then you needed to eat, you almost had to fight to eat. Like there was some teasing going on as well, but it was sort of malicious teasing, like as if someone's like holding a piece of food over you and you're like, I'm hungry. Whoa. All right, we're gonna change that right now. It's a little too obnoxious for my taste. I don't know about you. Speaking of obnoxious, that might tie in. Let's change that to your childhood a little bit. That's a little better. My goodness. It's almost like the adults in your circle were the ones who were acting like children. You were expected to be an adult at a very young age, and you weren't allowed to be a child like the other children in your neighborhood or the other children around you. There's something very there are a lot of words that come up. Sad, frustrating. I mean, there's something sort of confining about your childhood experience. Like you just wanted to break free from it all. You just wanted to escape. And the thing is with you managed to do that. Either, this is your past, this is when we're talking about your childhood here. So you've gotten to this point where you are in your life right now. So you've managed to break away from a lot of that abusive, kind of neglectful toxicity in your childhood and just kind of stand on your own 2 feet. Now, if there wasn't any kind of abandonment, or if you had a healthy family environment in terms of, loving connections between people, then there was something in the way of you needing to grow up faster uh, than your time, than faster than it was your time to do so. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, you had to grow up quickly. And it could have been because maybe, depending on your own family situation, maybe your family wasn't very wealthy, or someone was sick, or someone was disabled, and you were the one who had to really take care of everyone else in the household. Or, there was a lot riding on your shoulders. Now, sometimes you might have exploded out of frustration at the people around you. Maybe your school life might have been a pretty chaotic place where your grades weren't doing too well because you just, you had to deal with so much at home, and the teachers didn't understand you, and they just thought you were being truant. And that's not necessarily true. You were doing the best with what you had, and you were pretty defensive as a kid with good reason. You were trying to protect yourself. You realized that being vulnerable and being a child as a child, should be, was dangerous for you, and you weren't allowed to do it. So there was a significant amount of, you almost had to become very tough at a young age. All right, you couldn't really hold on to your emotions, and maybe you're finding that there's something lacking in the way of your emotional development now, where because you had to grow up quickly in certain ways in a survival context when you were younger. You had so many expectations put on you for whatever reason it was, whatever the issue was that caused you to grow up faster than your peers. It also stunted other parts of your growth. It stunted your emotional development. And so now you're not quite sure how to deal with your emotions, or you're learning how to deal with your emotions, and it might have been a long time coming where you've had to work on your emotions for a while, and now you've come into a place where you really, really need to let go of some of the negative patterning of blocking off your feelings, or exploding with your feelings. Whatever you're doing emotionally, you need to learn how to cut that off from your life, those reactions that that's almost like, and it becomes an imprisonment, you become, right, trapped, you become a prisoner of your mind or your emotional experience. And your emotions might be intense, but you might also not be very connected with them, so that you don't always pay attention to them or feel them until it's almost too late. It's almost like they have to be very dramatic in order for you to feel them. Now, on the flip side, you might be very good at just ignoring your emotions altogether, coming across very grounded and calm, and very here and now. But what's really happening is there's a lot stewing in the background of your mind, and you're not very connected to that part of yourself. You didn't have time to really, introvert and reflect as a kid. You had to take care of others. You had a lot of expectations. You had a lot of responsibility. And so now you're learning to catch up and reflect and go inwards and connect with your emotions. And that's difficult. That's really difficult. Easier said than done. But what I'm getting here from the cards and from Spirit is that you are a very ingenious type of person, right? You come up with really great solutions right off the cusp. You come up with awesome solutions to problems as they arise, because you are often, you had to take care of everybody's S-H-I-T. And so because of that, you have to think of rapid solutions to the problems that you're facing almost on a daily basis at times. And so you're used to that. You're a good problem solver, and you know how to get yourself out of pretty much any tricky situation. You're really good at reading people, and you're really good at knowing how to speak to different kinds of individuals in order to get what it is that you want, which is a very good skill to have. So if there's anything positive we can take out of having to grow up so quickly, it's that you've become very intuitive and wise in discerning, how to speak and connect with different people, and who you can trust maybe and who you can't. That might also come into play. Now, what is it that you can do in order to heal a lot of these wounds? Let's take a look at the card. I'm going to pull some other card. What is it that you can do? Interesting, because you have Gretel. Did I say Hansel at first? I meant Gretel. I don't know, because Hansel comes up now. Isn't that kind of funny? You have Hansel and Gretel. So what comes forward as what you're supposed to do talks about survival. It's almost like what you need to do is to understand and recognize that, you came through it and you survived. It's almost like just acknowledging all of the work that you've done to get to the point that you're at. And sometimes all you might need to do to heal some of your childhood wounds is, to appreciate all of the skills that you've learned. You kind of have to tell yourself, well, I went through this, and because I went through this, it made me the person I am, and it taught me these skills. And now I can go out and I can teach these skills to other people, or I can teach maybe my children, how to take care of themselves, but I can also make sure that I balance that out with a healthy dose of play in their lives as well. What you need to do is to... It's interesting. I don't know. I'm wondering if... Are some of you still in these situations with your family where you're still having to take care of everyone? And I'm hearing some of you say yes. And if that is the case, then what Spirit is asking you to do is to do whatever you can in order to survive your circumstances so that you can move on and you can move forward. And so take what resonates, and please, by all means, leave the rest if that does not resonate with you. But yeah, Spirit is sort of asking you just to, I'm almost getting this image of just focusing on the ground and the task that you're doing, and get that done and move out of and move that out of the way. It's almost like there's you have to almost dissociate with what it is that you are doing at times. Instead of, it's almost like the opposite of being in the here and now. Like you have to do what you need to do in order to take care of your present moments. You have to get, certain tasks out of the way in order to then deal with other tasks, and then in order to take care of yourself and to take care of those around you. But, I'm going to pull out another card because that survival, I have to say, is a little confusing for me. We're going to pull out something else. Okay. You get the red shoes obsession. Okay. Yeah, I'm going to leave that there. Yes. Okay. That all makes sense and comes together. It is what I was thinking before, but I wasn't sure. So you have to basically stop, just kind of what I alluded to before with just like cutting the ties and moving forward. You really have to cut the cords, and you have to leave that in the past. And you have to dissociate with the actions of the past, your childhood, etc., and know that this is something that happened. It's something that I needed to do. And in order to heal, I really just have to focus on my current life and move forward and move on. Sometimes, and so it's a little bit actually the opposite from what I was saying at first with the reflecting. Reflect to a certain extent, but don't obsess. What happens sometimes if we talk too much and rehash old arguments, old pains, is that we actually bring new life to them. And we're actually almost distorting that image and making it worse than what it was, or bringing that issue into the present and making it even bigger than what it was in the past. It really depends on the person and your personality. Now, if you are the kind of person who tends to think about the same thing over and over and over and over and over again, that's not necessarily in line with reflection. That's just almost like your thoughts are these, superficial vehicles carrying ideas back and forth. And if you focus too much on one or a few in particular, you're going to give that engine more energy, and then it will just kind of rev and ram or whatever, like make that zoom sound, rev up, and then you're going to create a lot more noise about just that one little thought, when really, had you not revved up the engine, then it would have just the vehicle would have just continued driving very casually by. So it's almost like that, where you have to just let go of this thought that, it was a difficult situation that you had to go through, but it's not serving you to go over it and 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 over it again in your mind. And so what I'm talking about with reflection is, now you have to say, okay, is this thought worth my time? Yes or no? Does it help me in my current situation? Yes or no? Is it going to bring me to a place of healing? Yes or no? So basically, when you're reflecting, you're doing a little bit of a process of elimination. You're asking yourself questions, whether out loud or in your journal, in your head, whatever helps you, and then you're weeding out what is not important, and you're keeping what is important. And I'm getting for you that it's especially important to make sure, I heard for some of you it's important to ask for help, like a good friend who can help you with certain tasks, or maybe you're overwhelmed and you need some assistance, or from other family members. If you can ask, maybe you have your own family, maybe you can ask your kids, or your partner, your significant other. And otherwise, I'm getting, just you need to take a break. You need to almost separate who you are today with the person you were yesterday, and say, that person has brought me to who I am today, and I appreciate that person for who she is, for who he is, etc. Right? And it's then saying, but today I am a new person, and I ask, my childhood self to help reinforce the wisdom and the strength that I have gained. But now it's time for me to learn new things. And so the way you're going to move forward from this trauma, from these childhood wounds, is really by deciding to move on and to make a clear cut completely, to focus on your present life and circumstances, and to make sure that you take care of what is going on currently in your life. Because if you can clean up what's going on currently in your life, then just by doing that, you are healing your past. For example, let's say you've accumulated a lot of stuff in your home. Just by cleaning out the old, paraphernalia, old items, old, knickknacks and memorabilia that you've collected, and deciding which will stay and which will go. Just by doing that, you're taking the spiritual and you're bringing it down to the physical, and you're saying, as above, so below. So whatever's happening in the physical, I'm cleaning it out. I'm cleaning out the past here, is also helping you to, create that connection in the spiritual, where you are mentally and emotionally and spiritually connecting to the act of literally cleaning out your house. And you are creating mental, emotional, and spiritual space for you to grow. And your home is going to feel a lot cleaner and just, you're going to have just so much more space and just more open, right? And that's just one example. I'm not saying that that is your case. That was just an example. But for you, I do feel that in many cases what you need to do is, you need to do something physical, whether it's cleaning your house or maybe taking a walk to clear the air, or even like if you have a punching bag, punching your punching bag, or punching a pillow, or even screaming in a pillow. But whatever you need to do is, you need to make that clear cut, but you also need to incorporate some kind of a ritual, maybe in your, every now and then when you feel something coming up and it's bogging you down. You can somehow learn to release it through some kind of a physical movement, right? Even punching the air, and you can imagine punching away at anyone who was abusive to you, or punching away at the past and saying, you do not hold me any longer. I am moving forward with my new life. This is who I am. So it's really about making that clear cut and moving forward by focusing on the present and focusing on what needs to be done and focusing on the next steps in your love, in your family, in your career. And for the past, it's the understanding of the fact that this is who you were and you needed to go through it in order to become who you are today. All right. It's this fact, okay? It's this understanding that you need to make in order to sever that tie with who you were and who you have always been and are becoming. I hope that resonates with you. All right. Well, that was a very beautiful reading. I send you a lot of healing. I send you a lot of mindful moments your way. Of course, practicing a mindful type of meditation would be very important. And like I said, don't forget the physical movement, even screaming in a pillow or something, in order to, physically get the emotion moving. That's what you also need to work on, your emotions, getting those emotions out in a healthy way, not towards someone else or not in the wrong situation. And that's why you have to, move in to get the emotions out, so that you can, take care of yourself first. All right. I hope you enjoyed the reading, and I look forward to reading for you in the future. All right. I will feel your presence soon. Okay, number 2 with Rainbow Dash. All right, number 2, I'm going to shuffle your cards here, and then I'll pull some out, and we will see what your child will start for that. What are your childhood wounds? What are some of your childhood wounds? Okay. All right. Let's see what you have. You have the Nixie of Mill Pond with the keyword memory. You have what came of picking flowers, greed. And you have the white snake, understanding. And the white snake makes me think of a dragon. So if you're interested in dragons and you have a, you might have a dragon spirit animal, there's your confirmation. Okay. It's childhood wounds. I'm getting you don't like to think too much about your childhood wounds. We can split this into two camps here. Some of you don't like to think about your childhood wounds or your memories at all. And for whatever reason you were drawn to this video, which I'm very flattered about, especially if you do not like to think about this kind of topic. That means that there's something right now that needs to come up, that for whatever reason your spirit guides have guided you here to hear this message. Others of you, you are like locked in this memory that you can't escape from. And you think about the past too much. So it's either two groups, very polar opposites here. If you chose number 2, you either think way too much about this memory and you get locked and frozen in these thoughts of the past, or you almost distort the image of this past so that it becomes something else. Actually, that's for everyone. Okay, whether you think about your past or you don't like to think about your past, when you do think about your past, it's almost like the images of the past are distorted, kind of the way you see something in a dream, very blurry, this sort of nebulous effect. This is what you, this is how you kind of, imagine your past events. And I'm the same way too. Now, if you do see things clearly, maybe it's not so much about that you see things sort of in a cloudy way, but maybe it's more so that just the way you paint the picture of the past is not accurate. You often felt misunderstood as a child. You often felt alone. And you felt like you can better connect with animals than humans. Did you have a lot of animals growing up? If you've picked some of the other videos in my channel and you came across Animal Communicator a couple of times, I'm going to say it again. You are definitely, a lot of you have this gift within this group to communicate with animals. And so before I even go through with the rest of, what it is your childhood wounds are all about, Spirit is asking you to connect with animals when you're feeling low, even if it's just taking a walk outside and connecting with the birds, because animals are very pure in their emotional expression. All right, they express exactly what it is that they feel. They don't lie, they don't pretend to feel in a certain way, right? They don't manipulate situations unless, well, I mean, I guess they could if you have a predator and prey experience, but I'm talking in general about the way the humans manipulate, in a very kind of agenda-driven and strategic, kind of conniving way. Animals are a little bit more pure. If they're a predator, they say, well, I'm a predator and this is what I do, and then I'm out on the hunt. Or if they're not and they're feeling happy, they're just going to, I don't know, roll around in the grass. Or if they're feeling annoyed, then maybe a cat, I'm thinking a cat now, will just, hiss. And so they're very honest with their feelings, and they understand the nonverbal communication is animals communicate to each other through this nonverbal communication. And so if you're used to being misunderstood, I'd like you to try and practice your nonverbal communication with animals. You can do some research to see, what are some of the what are some of the messages that they would like to relay when they, you know, express themselves in a certain way, either, with their body language or their face. For example, when dogs yawn, that means they're nervous. It doesn't necessarily mean they're yawning. And so I did my research. If you yawn back at the dog who's yawning, that will make them feel more comfortable, because it's like you're putting yourself on its wavelength, so it feels sort of united and more connected with you in that way, that you do understand that it's nervous and you're responding to the fact that I acknowledge that you're nervous, sort of like validating, its emotions. Okay, other body language that I know that, for example, cats, if you do that slow blinking to a cat, you're showing that you're not a threat. Basically, the fact that you're closing your eyes means that you are vulnerable to attack, because when your eyes are closed, you can't see if there's going to be any predator coming towards you. This is animal think right here, right? So doing a slow eyelid close would indicate that you're not afraid of being attacked, and you're not a threat either. You're trying to show that you trust that animal, and in return, that cat will soften up to you. Okay, so yeah, learn animal body language is what I would suggest. Oh, excuse me. Excuse. Or just scusi. So that felt good. Sneezes can be confirmation. Some psychics think of sneezing as confirmation. So I think for you, that's a confirmation that you're an animal communicator, and it wouldn't be a bad idea to do a little kind of animal behaviorist research, and to try to understand at least the visual, not so much going into developing your telepathy or anything like that, but just more developing, how to recognize body language and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, speaking of animal communication, if you are an animal communicator to a certain degree, yes, you are telepathic, and you can develop this even more. You certainly are an empath, because you can feel what animals are feeling, and they can feel what you are feeling. And I'm getting that you naturally do this. You naturally just understand how to connect with and read animals in general, and they've always been a great solace to you. So Spirit is nudging you to continue to speak with animals in order to feel, less alone, and to feel more like you have an understanding that there are other sentient beings around you. They don't have to be human, but they can understand you and your struggle if you know how to speak to them. And if they can, if they can read you as well. And I'm getting that they can. Anyhow, that's a little bit of a ramble about animal communication, but perhaps animals had a significant role in your life growing up. Maybe you rescued hurt animals as well, and these animals are very grateful to you. I'm getting that you do have a lot of animal spirit guides, a lot of animal, totem animals sort of around you, and a lot of these spirit guides are from animals that you have possibly rescued, or from your own pets who have passed on. They love your energy, and they are grateful to all of the healing you have given them and sacrificed to them, even though you were deprived of a lot of maybe some of even your basic needs. What I'm getting with greed is that you are in a situation where you weren't, it's almost like you were privy to a lot of resources or affections. There's a certain amount of withholding, whether it was food or shelter that you know didn't have great access to, or clothing. Someone was hogging something away from you, keeping something away from you. And it doesn't have to be in the physical sense, it could be emotionally. So if it is emotional, then, you know, parent or guardian, whoever was supposed to take care of you, might have been more of a reserved person and withheld a lot of their own feelings. So, oh, this is really coming together, actually. Yeah. I feel very strongly for a lot of you that's what it was. That, you know, just emotionally speaking, you kind of grew up in a way emotionally poor, at least, you know, in respect to your, you know, your legal guardians. But animals don't withhold affection, and that's part of the reason why you love interacting with animals so much, is that they don't. They don't withhold affection. If they love you, they just show it. They come, the dog, you know, the dog will come and lick your hand, or the cat will rub its head against you, you know. And so there's this purity and expression and this innocence that you really respond very well to. You actually, at heart, are a very innocent and pure being. Maybe over time you feel like certain people and situations, relationships have corrupted a certain amount of that purity and innocence, which is only normal as we become adults. But the main part of who you are is very pure and very, you know, childlike in a good way, in a very pure way. And that is always going to be an important part of your personality. You might even look much younger than your years. And that connection that you have with your inner child, in order to really heal, needs to be nurtured. So I haven't even pulled out your card for what to do, but I'm just getting some downloads right now that in order to really heal from these wounds of being withheld affection or even resources, depending on who you are and what you went through, you in order to heal this, you need to get in touch with your inner child, your younger self, and you need to basically learn to parent yourself, learn to give yourself that affection and that love that you so needed and that you so crave. Because I'm going to tell you something, it doesn't matter how many people you try to find that same love and affection in. The universe is telling you, number one, the universe is saying, you are strong. You are very strong. Number two, the universe is saying it wanted you to be stronger than what you already came into this life with. Wiser than what you already were. And the other message, of course, is that the universe is saying, your spirit guides, etc., are saying, we don't want you to always be dependent on someone else to fill the gap that you feel inside. We want you to find the courage to connect with the spirit world through the subtle and nonverbal language of animals. And by doing so, this will allow you to connect with your inner child so that you can learn to love yourself unconditionally, just like you would any injured pet. And I'm feeling, do you have a special connection with a cat? There was just a little meow in the video. I don't know if you heard it. That I'm playing with the ambiance background noise. But yeah, I am feeling that you may have a special connection with a cat who passed on. This cat is very present around you, holy moly. This cat has not left you Of course, they are in the spirit world, but they act as your spirit guide, and they are always watching out for you. And do you ever feel like you almost fall, but you don't? That's this cat kind of moving, almost like moving things out of your way, if that makes sense. I don't really know if that does resonate or not, but it's almost like this cat is kind of clearing your path or trying to keep you steady or make sure you don't fall if you're not a very grounded person. And you know what? It's interesting because the not grounded part comes into play. If you aren't very emotionally connected or invested, then you are going to, there will be a disconnect with your emotions, because of course then you're going to feel a lot of, this inner emptiness that you might feel betrays a shaky foundation within you, or that your root chakra is not very strong. A strong root chakra belongs to someone who feels stable in the present, in the here and now, ready to take on any practical tasks, feeling confident and strong within their emotions, feeling like they have a firm foundation of family and love and community. And if you don't feel that way, that could mean that you need to work on strengthening your root chakra. So that might be another video coming up where we can discover what your strongest chakra is and your weakest one, and stay tuned for that. I give you some advice on how to strengthen your root chakra. So I'm going to take a look and see what you need to do in order to heal these childhood wounds. And interesting, there's two cards that come up. I'm going to apologize. My husband has something he's watching in the background, so that might, you may hear that in this video. I'm hoping it's just me, but there's not much I can do about that. So, the Light Princess, Ungrounded. That confirms what I was saying before, which is interesting that I said it and that this should come out, right? So the Light Princess, yes, you are feeling ungrounded. You do struggle with that a little bit. And Tamlin, you might be interested in looking at reading one because she comes up there again. It'll give you a little bit more context on this card. But this comes up in what you're supposed to do to heal, which is interesting. It's like you have to stand up for yourself. You know, when certain things were taken from you in the past, you now have to stand up for yourself and say, you know, no, I deserve this. I deserve love. I deserve a fighting chance. I deserve, to feel a connection with others. I deserve to feel validated and understood. And I love to be able to connect with animals. And I can continue to do that. But I deserve a healthy connection with other human beings just as well. All right. So that is what you need to do in order to heal, is to really stand up for yourself and for your loved ones around you, of course, but to stand up for your own emotions and to understand that, it is important to feel whatever you need to feel. If you have anger coming up, it's important to recognize that. Not necessarily act out on it, but, recognize the feeling. It is not an evil feeling. It's just trying to explain something to you. It's trying to explain that, someone's gone over your boundaries. Someone stepped over your boundaries. Someone's not respecting your space. And so anger comes up when you feel like, your boundaries have been crossed or something isn't fair. Anger just comes up to be that signal to say, hey, wait a minute, something's off here. When sadness comes up, listen to what it has to say. Maybe sadness is trying to, bring you down from being too anxious or nervous. Sadness can calm that down a little bit and help you to reflect in a healthy way, right? Why, obviously happiness is great. We're not going to talk about the positive emotions because we generally accept those and embrace them. The negative emotions are important though, and they bring messages. So as they come up, I want you to validate them for yourself. You can journal about them, you can talk about them, but I want you to really recognize those emotions within yourself as important. That they are not wrong. It is not wrong to feel whatever you have to feel. Even if you feel something like, you feel envy or jealousy, or even if you do feel something like greed, pay attention to the emotion and pay attention to the message it brings. Why, ask, why is this emotion here? What does it have to teach me? Ask Spirit to help guide you through that. But definitely stand up for your emotions. Don't put them down. Stand up for yourself and understand that you are a human being, and a human being comes here with a wide range of emotional experiences, and that it is your right to feel however you want to feel. Again, doesn't mean you're a bad person, because you're not necessarily acting out on those feelings, but you're allowed to feel them, and you're allowed to express them in healthy ways. Maybe having a good talk with someone, writing them down, even singing if you need to get it out a little bit. But definitely recognizing your value, your emotional value, and your value as a person. That what happened when you were a child was not your fault, and sometimes people are only able to work with what they know. Maybe sometimes people are, a parent or guardian is going to be a little bit more reserved because that's how they were taught when they were younger, right? And that doesn't mean that this is a legacy you need to continue and carry forward. You can change those patterns of behavior so that when you have children or with your children, you can then pass on values of, affection and emotional understanding of one another, of each other's experience. And of course, since you have such a beautiful connection with animals, please do not rule out introducing animal communication to others, and in particular to your kids. So thank you so much for joining me, and I look forward to connecting with you in a future reading. All right, number 3 with Rarity. Oh my goodness. Look how she's hiding behind her hair. You are a bombshell. You are an amazing human being. You have star quality energy, but you're hiding behind your own hair. And, sorry. And apparently, you drank too much. No, just joking. No, and apparently you need to learn how to stand on your own 2 feet. You're a little shaky around others. You're there you go again. You need a lot of support. Whatever you've experienced in your childhood has made you assume that you are weak and that you need others to support you, and that's just not true. You're not weak. But we're going to work on that. All right, let's take a look at your childhood wounds and what it was all about. So let's take a look here. Childhood wounds for number 3. And let's actually, okay, hold on a second. I'm just, okay. Cards everywhere. I'm trying to listen to Spirit as Spirit is trying to guide me through this, and they're saying to pick another card, so that is what I did. All right, so the other card that I picked was the Princess Who Never Smiled. Keyword is healing. The Tinderbox Soldier. We have keyword ambition here. And then water and salt. We have the keyword truth. Interesting. So as far as childhood wounds, what I'm getting is like, from the outside looking in, it seemed like you had everything. Were your parents always busy working? And did they generally have a lot of money and they gave you a lot of gifts and they gave you a lot of things, but you had all these things around you, had all these beautiful things, but you felt alone. There wasn't, where's the love? It's almost like your parents or your guardians or your, whoever was legally responsible for you was just always working, and they were just thinking about work. And maybe they gave you a lot physically, or maybe you were very well. If you weren't wealthy, then maybe your physical needs were met, but you're not so much your emotional needs. So there's a little bit of a theme here, because reading number 2 had something similar to you in regards to feelings. Now, with water and salt and truth, so with water and salt and truth, it's almost like you felt like people weren't telling you the truth. Like people would just lie to you, and they would just they would treat you almost like they would infantilize. Is that the word? Infantilize you. They try to almost like treat you like you were a kid all the time, and you didn't understand what was going on. You didn't understand the situation, and they would just make you feel, stupid, and like you're, like you didn't have a say in what was happening. Now my dog's making a lot of noise. It's just everybody make noise while I make a video right now, I guess. So speaking of noise, it's like there's a lot of, almost like in your household, was there a lot of noise going on? Just like a lot of stress, lots of movement, lots of chaos, lots of gotta go here, gotta go there, and it's just, and you felt like, you couldn't just sit still, or like the noise, it's almost like the noise was going on around you, and then you had to almost carve out a space for yourself, and I don't know, I'm getting a few different situations coming through, and, or you felt very removed from just the energetic vibrancy of life, and that there's a lot of people just talking, but no one's really listening, and no one's really saying anything of value. No one is saying the truth. And you understood things perfectly. You can see through everything, through all situations, through people, and you can still do that. And you really felt very frustrated at this whole experience of being treated like a child, when you could very well understand the nuances and the details that maybe a lot of people missed. You're very smart and you're very aware, and people did not give you that credit growing up, perhaps. And you just felt like, like your physical needs were met, and maybe even a then some, but you were perpetually treated like a child and left alone, and no one listened to you. No one listened to what you had to say. It almost felt like a children must be seen and not heard type of, Victorian era mentality. Not just Victorian era, but anyhow. The way things used to be, right? Children were not considered people yet. Therefore, they must be seen and not heard. Their opinions were not important. That's basically what that saying it says, right? That's how it translates. That's how we can interpret that. If children must be seen and not heard, then basically what they have to say is not important. Wow. That's very sad. And how backwards of society to say that, because children can teach us a whole lot. And unfortunately, as we get older, we sometimes become zombies or slaves to what we're doing, and we forget how to just, relax, take a break, have fun, use our imaginations, think things through in a global perspective. At times, we can just be too much into the moment in a negative way, right? Like we can't see the forest for the trees. And I don't know, I'm just rambling here. I don't know where all this is coming from, but I feel like you can relate to what I'm saying in a very specific way. And if you can't, let me know in the comments below, because I feel like I just rambled on there. I don't even know if I know what I'm saying. So if you know what I'm saying, let me know. But yeah, basically let's see, let's move on. What do you need to do in order to heal from this past? Okay. What do you need to do in order to heal from these childhood wounds? Okay, interesting card that comes up. We have the little match girl. Choice. This is a really interesting card to come up, because this represents a story about a little girl who I think was orphaned, and she it's a very sad story, actually, very depressing. I remember it made me cry when I was a little girl. My grandmother would read me a different fairy tale every day, and I remember she read this one time, and I just felt so distraught, because this little girl was relegated to living outside, and it was winter time in the snow, so she was cold, and of course, to add a little bit of drama to the whole situation, she was barefoot as well, and she would sell matches. I don't know, maybe I'm just exaggerating when I say she was barefoot, but it seemed like the picture showed, in the way the artist depicted the picture of the story, it seemed like she was barefoot. But anyway, what's besides the point? Point is, all she had was her matches. All she had was her light. And she tried to light some matches in order to warm herself up. But for whatever reason, I don't remember why, she couldn't last the night. And this beautiful angel came down to take her away. That's very sad. Oh my goodness. Why does this come up as what you're supposed to do in order to heal? Now, what I'm getting for some of you, okay, select few, is that you actually lost a sibling in childhood, and your parent or guardian was never the same after that, and all the love and affection that they bestowed upon you, on both of you, when everything was fine and no one was sick and everyone was still alive, just suddenly was taken away. And then they couldn't think about, this parent guardian couldn't think about anything else but work. They just focused on work and their duty and what they had to do because of this death. Now, this death could also be of a parent, but the reason I'm saying child is because the little match girl is a child when she dies. So it could be that you're still healing from this wound. Now, if this is the case, and you do have a sibling who passed away, or someone who passed away that was close to you growing up, then I'm just coming here to confirm that this person is heavily around you at all times, watching over you. So you have this guardian angel, sibling, or whoever it is that you might have lost as a child, and they are around you and they are protecting you and they are guiding you in life, and they want you to remember. Now this goes for everyone, whether you lost someone in childhood or not, or you feel like you lost, not necessarily by death, but you lost like almost like a Frozen in Elsa and Anna relationship, where there was sort of a death to their old relationship because of the whole accident where Elsa struck Anna's forehead. And anyway, I'm not going to say more in case you've never seen that movie, because it's an awesome movie and I love it so much. But anyway, moving away from Disney topics and Frozen, interesting that I should mention Frozen. I didn't even make the connection because the little match girl, well, she's out in the cold in the winter time. And so there is this message to you to, here, let's bring out Rarity once more. There's this message to remember that inner fire that you have. You have this beautiful inner fire. This beautiful soul that just emanates light from within. And it's very hard to have gone through what you had to go through. And it's unfair that your emotional needs were not met the way they should have been. And it's not fair that you are being told lies and that people weren't being truthful to you when they should have been. And maybe they were trying to protect you, or maybe they were trying to protect themselves and they didn't want to admit it to themselves that whatever it was happened, or they didn't want to see, the disappointment in your face. The problem was that you were already confused, and that, your confusion at these lies just added more pain to your story than you needed to have. So the message coming through for everyone is to rekindle that flame within yourself. To remember that you are a fiery, passionate soul, and you always were, and you always are. It's just that part of you that you've hidden deep within, and it needs to come out and needs to bubble over in all of its glory. And look at you. Okay, I'm going to show you Rarity's bum right here. PG-13. She has diamonds on her butt. Yay. And because she's special. And because you're special. I don't know if you have diamonds on your butt, but I hope not. That would be kind of painful. Anyhow, you you are someone with a beautiful story that helps you to relate to others who have gone through similar struggles to your own. And you are someone who is very capable of standing on her own 2 feet. You have to remember that, your Rarity is the diva, the sparkly one, the one with all of the attitude in the best way possible. You are that person with that fire within you. You have this fiery, beautiful energy within you, and you just need to awaken it. And this is how you heal. Awaken that fire within. I think you intuitively know how to do this. You just have to reconnect with that part of yourself that you lost. And if you need to, refresh your memory a bit, but I don't feel like that's the case here. If you need to, you can write things out. You can jog your memory by talking things out loud, by talking to someone you trust. But I'm really getting that, you need to remember this fire that you have within, this beautiful fire, this beautiful light, and that you are all you need. You don't need that love from someone else. Of course, receiving love from someone else is always nice, and we all want that. But no one needs it to survive. Or at least you don't, because you're strong enough to have come this far. So the universe is really trying to tell you that they want you to, remember that all of the love that you require, all of the love that you desire, it's all within you. And you just need to find a way to connect with you. I would say by doing things you love. By doing what you have always wanted to do. Bringing out your favorite playthings and just having fun. And you don't have to worry about, oh, I'm playing with a My Little Pony doll that's so childish. Who cares? Are you, playing with a My Little Pony doll in order to make yourself laugh and be happy and be silly? Are you watching an old Disney movie because it makes you laugh and it's silly? If so, then great, continue doing it. What's wrong with that? What's wrong with being silly? It's almost like you were discouraged from being silly to a certain point, because being silly meant that you had to, be a little loud or make some noise, and you're encouraged to be silly and be loud now, right? Fire, that powerful fire that is coming through. Fire is all about making lots of noise, being really present and visible, being a light that everyone can gravitate towards and see. You will be that light for others. You are that light already for others. But what others want you to do is they want to see you happy. Now, of course, you can't force happy. That's not healthy either. But you do need to be honest with yourself. If you are surrounded by, these lies that were told to you, if you are starved for the truth, then you have to also pay yourself that same respect. And you have to learn how to be honest with yourself. Are you too tired to work on that assignment right now? And is it due tomorrow? Can it wait? Be honest with yourself. That's a silly little example, but when that person cut in front of you in line, was it really okay? Or did it bother you? Be honest with yourself. When you come home from a long day of school or work, and I don't know, your mom wants to talk, your dad wants to talk, someone wants to talk, there's a family gathering on Zoom or whatever it is, right? And you're not feeling it. Be honest with yourself. Maybe you can meet whoever it is, but if it's, maybe you could wait. Maybe you could say, can we reschedule? I'm not feeling it right now, or, obviously maybe that not feeling it is not going to be a good excuse. Not going to fly. I know that wouldn't fly necessarily with my family if I said that. Hey, family, I'm just not feeling it, all right? Peace out. They would be like, excuse me, what? No. Maybe you can say, hey, I'm just busy right now. Can I speak with you tomorrow? I don't know, I have an appointment. It's okay to make things up sometimes. It's interesting because I said, it's important to be honest, and we talked about truth, and the concept of the duality of truth and lies comes up a lot. I will say this, if there's something that you can learn from maybe the lies that you were told in childhood, is that lying is not always all bad. Okay, maybe it didn't serve you the way, these messages were used towards you when you were growing up. But I would say that, in cases where, let's say, you're tired and you come home and you don't want to speak to that friend on the phone that you made a point that you would call, you can say, if it's not being too rude, and if you haven't been putting this off another time, maybe it's just you put it off this one time, and you say, oh, I'm really sorry, but I'm busy. And that could be a white lie, or that could be a semi-truth. You're busy might just be, I'm busy taking a bath. I'm busy watching my favorite movie. And that is okay, because technically you are busy doing something, right? So what I'm trying to say is sometimes a little white lie is not going to hurt anyone. In fact, it might be the best possible answer for you, for your mental health, for your emotional well-being. You have to take care of you first. All right. Remember that light, that fire within. In order to heal, you need to rekindle that fiery spirit that you have lost connection with over the years, but that still remains because it is your essence and it's who you are. You can't run away from who you are, this sparkling rarity with diamonds on her behind. Oh, and she's just falling all over the place. All right. I hope you like the reading, and I will not fall on my face. See you in the next video. See you later, guys. Bye. All right, number 4. Pinkie Pie. Are you often the comedian in your group, or do you like to make sure that everybody's happy and everybody's taken care of? Do you often put yourself last in this regard? This may be the pile for you. If that still resonates, let's take a look at the cards, see what they say. If they don't resonate, then feel free to pick another selection. Another My Little Pony doll, I suppose. All right, let's take a look at the cards. So, what are the wounds that need to heal? What are your childhood wounds here? I'm going to shuffle that again because I don't feel that was right. What are your childhood wounds? What are your childhood wounds? Childhood wounds, this one, and this one. Okay, interesting. Some cards repeat themselves. Okay, so you have Fairy Ointment and the Sight, Sleeping Beauty and Awakening, the Tinderbox Soldier and Ambition. Yeah. You have an interesting child here. There's an interesting childhood wound. It's like you saw things that you shouldn't have seen. You saw too many things you shouldn't have seen. Some of you are very, very psychic and spiritual, and some of your childhood wounds actually come from your paranormal experiences that have really freaked you out. If there was some kind of a poltergeist or ghost in your home that was incessantly trying to reach out to you in dreams because you could connect with the spirits of the dead, that might actually have been your wound. But that's not all. I'm getting something else here. You might be very attractive yourself, and something about you that is very appealing to others. Something about your appearance became almost like a wound to you, where you felt you were hiding behind your appearance, hiding behind a structure of a yourself, like, you know, if you're into fashion design, a Judy of yourself, an avatar of yourself, like you're hiding behind almost like you're hiding behind a facade. And you felt often the case where you maybe, I'm almost seeing in your childhood days, you might have been actually very popular as well, and you felt like you had to keep up a certain persona as you were climbing the ranks of, you know, schoolyard hierarchy. You really began to distance yourself more and more from who you are. So you would come home and you would have these maybe spiritual experiences and paranormal experiences and whatever. You couldn't explain them in school. You didn't want to be that weird kid or whatever, you know, negative, insert negative kind of self-talk here that you use on yourself. And you instead decided to hide yourself away through this facade that you would carry. And you would use this facade to, you know, either entertain others or bedazzle others, or just be that presence that was just such a beautiful sight to behold, so that people would get very distracted from whatever was going on the inside. Now, the other thing I'm getting as well is that, you know, people only saw you for what you had on the outside. And you're actually very difficult to get to know, you know, with Sleeping Beauty, and there are a lot of thorns around the castle. It's almost like, you know, you didn't let a lot of people in too close. You might have been popular and you might have had a lot of friends. If that resonates, great. Let me know in the comments below. If it doesn't resonate, you know, let it slide. Throw it out the window. Chuck it out the window. But otherwise, there's something very unique about you, something very beautiful about you. And you often felt like you had to give people what they wanted, but you blocked a lot of people from really coming in, from really getting to know you. That's what I'm getting. People only understood an image of you, but they didn't really know the real you, and the real you was sort of locked inside under layers and layers and layers of persona. And you feel like you couldn't just be you, like it wasn't acceptable to just be you, and you needed to block off that person from coming to the light of day. You kept her or him, whomever, in the shadows. You might have had a dog when you were growing up that really felt like you got, you know, they accepted you no matter what, as animals are so wonderful like that. A lot of you guys coming through in this pick a card video have a good connection with animals, so you might have had a particular connection with a pet growing up, and this pet, if they are still present with you, they watch over you, they love you, and they're, you know, in the physical realm. But if they are no longer with you, they are definitely one of your guides, and they are watching over you. Oh my gosh. So my cards just flew out all over the ground, but one is face up, and I believe that card is important. So I'm just gonna reach down and get it. Sometimes I get so annoyed with myself. I am such a klutz. It's just born that way. Paradoxically, I did ballet growing up, and I was always super graceful is what I meant to say. But my balance, not so good, and I'm always dropping things on the ground. Comment down below if you can relate to that. Hashtag Superklutz #1. Just kidding. I'm not really into hashtags. I don't know. Just felt like a fun thing to say. Rumpelstiltskin. This is the card that was upright. Secrets. You kept secrets from people. You kept secrets about who you are, who you were. You kept that hidden. You didn't let other people see. You didn't let other people too close to you. Maybe you felt like you couldn't really explain who you were to other people because you're so, psychic and spiritually in tune that, others they just wouldn't understand. And you didn't want to be thought of as crazy. So you just kept it in. And that's part of your wound. Not being able to be yourself. And I think you're trying to find meaning through these pick-a-card readings. It's part of the reason that you're doing this, or actually, if not fully the reason that you're doing this, is you're trying to connect with your spiritual side that you've possibly left to the wayside because it scares you and it's different and it's not always acceptable in society. And silly society has a long way to go to catch up with you, right? Because I look at you as a more of an evolved soul. And so you need to recognize that for yourself. That's one thing. Not to become arrogant, but one of the ways that you can heal from this is just to recognize that you're just a little bit more evolved. You've gone through a little bit more, you've gone through more experiences than other people have. And, well, just because you have some experience that someone else doesn't does not make you wrong. It doesn't mean that they're wrong either. It just means that they are possibly more ignorant about what you've experienced and your knowledge, and they don't understand. And so this is so that we don't demonize the bullies of the past, etc., and the images of the past and the experiences of the past. We can look at them from a clear understanding if we just really look at the facts and really try to weed out some of the more emotional attachments we might have to, the negative experiences of having to put on a face to try to be someone else or to hide a certain part of yourself away. So, let's take a look at what you need to heal in order to, or how to heal. Sorry, I'm all tongue-tied for some reason with you guys. You guys have a very heightened spiritual energy. It's kind of throwing me off. It's almost like you don't need to do anything in particular to heal your wounds. You just need to acknowledge that where you were coming from and where they were coming from was, were different places. And so they just didn't know any better. Does that make sense? They just didn't know any better. But you, as many spiritual people, come into this world having this disconnect with the people, with others around them. And it can be a very lonely and isolating experience. So I can definitely relate, and a lot of spiritual people can relate. But I hope that in future, as we raise our children, that they won't necessarily need to relate as much as you and I do to this concept, because they'll have, more support and understanding around them to be able to fully and freely be themselves. Anyway, I have been dilly-dallying with the last card I want to pull out. So what do you need to do in order to heal this wound? Let's see what the card says. All right. Goldilocks, entitlement. This is very interesting. What I get from this card is that entitlement in a good way in this case. What I get is that you just need to basically just be yourself now. You are entitled to who you are. You are entitled to who you naturally are. No one can take that away from you. If you express yourself as you are, what is the worst that can happen? Ask yourself that question. If you express yourself as who you are, then what is the worst that can happen? Now, I understand at the same time, we can't necessarily all go out and start, like, you'll have to understand that there are going to be consequences if you go out and you dress in a certain way or whatever. Personally, I'm very quirky in my style of clothing. Outside of, I dress appropriately depending on the occasion. I love getting dressed up. But, when I'm being casual and cozy at home and just walking around the neighborhood, I have my gnome socks and my spirit animal shirt with a dragon on it. And I have my multicolored, it looks like a cape. It's a long sweater. I remember walking, oh my God, I remember walking in the subway or something with my sister, and there's this guy that was like, someone likes to go to raves, and I was like, what? Oh, my sweater? Oh, yeah, sure. And I was like, thumbs up, yeah. But I was just like, I turned to my sister, and at that point I had never been to a rave, and I was just like, I guess I'm giving off a certain kind of vibe, but I don't care. I just really like colors and patterns, and they don't have to go together, and I'm fine with that, and that works for me. And so think of how you can be you through your clothing. It doesn't mean you have to go out and you have to share all of your, spiritual ideas and thoughts with others. Maybe you keep those to yourself, because not everyone is going to understand, and it's not an unhealthy thing to keep certain aspects of yourself private per se, but for you, your healing is actually going to be, I almost wonder if what your birth chart would look like. For instance, I have certain placements in my chart that actually encourage me to be more private with my spirituality, and so I can open up on a YouTube channel, but I'm not necessarily going to go and talk to people at work with what I know, because not everyone's open to that, and that's okay, that's fine. So my path may be different than yours in that regard. I feel like for you, this is more your path is actually encouraging you to come out and just be like, whatever, I'm just gonna do it, I'm just gonna be me. Because in the past you oh my gosh, I just broke my selenite wand. What is happening to me today? What's going on with this group? Everything is coming apart. Well, maybe that's it. Do you like how I always relate like all of my stupidities with with your reading? I try to make connections. See this? I broke off this piece. I'm crying. Where? Oh well. Makes it more of a pointer stick. Ooh, yay! We created something together. So you are chipping away at what is no longer working for you in terms of how you express yourself. And you are now, coming out of this cave you're in and saying, hello world. It's almost like someone's molding. I don't know, this image comes to mind of, someone making a sculpture, not even like someone having a giant rock in front of them and just chipping away at the rock until they create a sculpture of some kind. So it's like, that's you. And you're chipping away at yourself, but you're creating this beautiful sculpture of yourself, which is who you are. That's who you are hiding within the rock. So the rock is what people see. Maybe it's a beautiful rock, but then you say, hey, well, you know what? If you think this is beautiful, just wait and see what I create. And what you create is going to be a masterpiece, because that masterpiece is you, my friend. You are the masterpiece. And you are coming forward saying, this is who I am. And if you don't like it, see how confident Goldilocks is? I mean, her word is entitlement. So, she is pretty confident. And we're going to say this is in the best way possible for this reading here, because we know that entitlement is a negative word, especially now, can have a very negative connotation for obvious reasons. But in this case, with you, since it's been the opposite, where you've hid yourself for so long, where you've kept yourself in the dark, where you've presented a very beautiful image out to the world, a very sort of almost manicured image of yourself that everybody loves and everybody's happy with and everybody accepts. But you know what? You know who that image has hurt? It's hurt you. Those thorns that you have outside of your castle, they don't let anyone in. This prince who's trying to hack away at the thorns to get to you, yeah. I don't know, Brothers Grimm. Maybe that's not even your prince. And why is this prince choosing you? Do you have a say in this? What if you wake up to someone, you're like, I'm sorry, I'm not feeling this connection here. I'm going to go back to sleep now. You've got to pick your own prince or princess or king or queen or don't pick anyone at all. You've got to pick yourself. And maybe the revised version of Sleeping Beauty can be that Sleeping Beauty finds a way through her dreams to wake herself up. And then she hacks away at the thorns around her castle and she empowers herself. And she says, hey, world, I'm this powerful queen. I'm no longer this, which is interesting because in the movie Sleeping Beauty, the cartoon, the Disney cartoon, she had very little. The actress who played Sleeping Beauty had very little lines. Of all the Disney princesses, I think she had the smallest appearance in her own movie. Okay, so why is that? Why are you appearing so little in your own movie, in your own story? You're the main character. Get out there. Show everybody what you're made of. And that is how you are going to no longer hide who you are. And again, as I said, it doesn't have to be that you're, sharing your ideas left, right, and center. It could just be, hey, I want to dress this way because I love this shirt. And you know what? It's not very stylish, but I don't care because I love it. I'm going to wear my hair this way. Or I'm just going to, I feel like, I don't know, I feel like humming a tune, or I feel like listening to the music that I like to listen to. Or I don't feel like going out today. I feel like doing this. Or I don't feel like staying home today. I feel like going out and meeting up with my friend or whatever it is. So you have to do, I encourage you to do what it is that you love to do and go out and be you and express yourself authentically in whatever way that makes sense to you. But I feel like when you do decide to greet the world and be yourself truly, fully, I feel like, let's see what the cards have to say about that. Actually, let's do an extra step for you. It's so silly though. I can't believe I broke my selenite stick, but I'm glad that it fit into the reading. There's always a reason for everything. But let's take a look. What do the cards have to say for as far as, What happens when you come out into the open here and you're waving your arms around like you just don't care? What's going to happen? What will happen? What can happen in that? What will happen in that moment? Oh, wow. Okay. That makes sense. Okay, so it's kind of giving me worst that can happen, best that can happen. Oh. Ew. Well, yours is the most exciting reading yet. Let's see, my dear. What happens when you come out into the open? The poisoned apple, jealousy. You're going to engender a lot of envious behaviors and attitudes towards you. Okay? People are going to be throwing you a lot of shade. Those people are not your friends. If they give you a hard time for being you, then they don't deserve you, right? I know easier said than done. And then you have to make the decision that's right for you. But that's just my 2 cents. It's natural. It's going to happen. That if you're not afraid to be bold, then there will be people who will react. And that happens with any transformation. People are going to react negatively because they want you to stay the same as they always knew, because people don't like change. They like their reality to be their reality, but guess what? You don't want to have to placate to their reality anymore. That is not healthy for you, correct? Then you have, and I'm sorry for I don't know if you hear the noise in the other room, but I apologize if you do. Fair, brown, and trembling gifts. When you come out and you're you, life is going to reward you somehow. Maybe people will literally give you gifts. You're going to receive gifts, or just you're going to receive blessings. Life will grant you blessings when you're not afraid to come out and be you. That looks pretty positive. Okay. The last card, this is where I said honey. Okay, the Frog Prince, intimacy. So if you are not afraid to come out and be yourself, then looks like you're going to put yourself out there to the point that either you're going to rekindle an existing relationship, or honey, if you're single and unattached, then someone is going to notice you and will be coming your way. Well, that was unexpected. An unexpected turn for the reading that I was giving. I hope you enjoyed that, and I look forward to reading for you in a future video.